Although Sally, with spotter Lark and flanker Ralph, won the intense sniper battle, Asta still took a fatal bullet to the chest. Upon Asta's death, however, his body began to turn into crystal, along with everything and anyone around it. Having seen this before, Sally ordered the group to run. We're left considering what just happened and what to do next. And what they do next, I guess you're about to find out. This is For Sprouting. Chapter 1, The Meeting of Souls, Part 5. As this is the beginning of a session, what we're going to do is we are going to roll luck. Call of Cthulhu has a mechanic where at the beginning of every session that you play that you get to roll luck. It's so that you can actually increase your pool of luck points. At the beginning of a session, what you do is you roll, and what you're actually trying to do is, unlike most rolls in Call of Cthulhu, you're trying to actually get over your luck number. So if you have a very low luck, it's more likely that you are going to fail the roll, and thusly you get to roll a d10 and you get to have that amount added to your luck pool. Because this is the first time we're doing it, we're definitely going to let you guys listen to the unmitigated chaos that this is, but I kind of feel this is going to break up a lot of the game, especially, the flow of the narrative, especially if you're binging, to have like every couple of episodes, and we're going to roll luck, which doesn't work great in a story narrative if we are, for example, ending on a cliffhanger and then we need to roll luck at the beginning of the next. It kind of breaks it up. So what we're going to do is that at the end of each chapter, I'm just going to say how much luck was gained, and hopefully that should be cool. That's the decision we've made. So as for rules, talking about rules and luck in particular, you may notice we have some of our own mechanics and we have some of our own house rules. So each player has their own mechanic and we have homebrewed those, and those are a work in progress. Sometimes we find that actually, no, in gameplay, we want to change something different. And my general rule of thumb when it comes to house rules and any sort of rules really, does it work for the story? Does it work for us at the table? And can we agree this one time that we're going to ignore it, or in the future we are just going to change it? So if you want a 100% Call of Cthulhu rules, this is probably not for you, but we're just going to work with what works for our story. So, yep, that's just a heads up. Have fun and enjoy the rest of the episode. All right, so it's the beginning of the session, so you may try and regain some luck.
Yes.
I have to fail, right? That was the roll.
Yes.
You have to get over your luck.
I'm feeling lucky.
No. No.
Oh, come on.
That hurts. Wasting our good rolls. No,
that hurts.
Oh, I'm so bad at this game. Gosh darn it. I can never succeed a roll.
F you, Neil.
Okay. Neil, you may roll 1d10 and add that to your luck.
Woo. 10. Whoa.
Yay!
Not only did you already have the most luck, but then you rolled a 10.
OT rises into the air, and you hear the whirring as he lifts above the tree line and directly as a crow could go, head straight towards where the burrow area is. You are close enough. You could watch if you wanted to, or you could wait for OT to return. It's your choice.
Yeah, Ralph's gonna put his VR down over his eyes so that he can watch as much as possible, if possible. I'm also going to have him carry a rock away so that he can do the test closer to the spot. I really don't want my drone getting hurt by this. So any safety measures.
Yeah, like let's say that, just before OT takes off, like he grabs it like a small-ish rock, takes up and then flies across. You put the visor down, your goggles down, and you're able to see crystal trees. The lake looks exactly like a lake. It hasn't crystallized at all. As he kind of scoots over in that area to actually you think maybe OT's a little bit curious and heads over to the area, and you can see that the The lake bed itself has also crystallized to a degree, but like it's probably difficult to tell because of all the silt and all the mud and everything moving underneath the crystallizing, but something has definitely happened, but the water seems to be fine. We see it takes off again and kind of like goes towards a kind of cliff area and that opening, that kind of space in front of the burrow, the car park. And it is entirely crystallized. As Ot kind of like lowers down and releases the rock kind of almost at the very epicenter right next to where Asta's crystallized body is, the rock kind of falls, bounces, but does not turn to crystal.
Excellent.
Seems to be absolutely fine. As Ot kind of like turns and looks specifically at Asta and at the bag, you notice that Asta's crystal body is not as you would expect it to be. It looks as though it has been partially smashed, and you can see that the kind of the bag area has been like attacked the most, and you can see that the green book has gone, but you can still see that kind of like floating red sphere about the size of a baseball is there, as Lark described. It's still in the bag, not smashed, not leaking anywhere, but a good portion of Asta's body has been smashed and destroyed. He takes off and he heads back kind of along the same route that you came. And you can see that, yep, there's the cars that have turned to crystal, and there are the bodies of the snipers, of the assassins, and they're still there exactly as you left them. There doesn't appear to be any additional, like, objects that were saved from crystallizing at all. It's just as you thought you saw when you left. And then the three of you, probably a couple of minutes later, probably about 10 minutes total round trip, you see Ot just kind of like flying along the road at kind of roughly head height and comes to settle down next to where Ralph is.
So the book is not there anymore?
Nope.
What? Yeah, Ralph pulls his I want to say goggles. I gotta keep calling him VR. Pulls his VR headset over his forehead, pulls it up. I didn't see the book there.
I'm sure it was there. Did you see the red ball?
That's still there. Aster looks like he's been smashed up a bit.
Maybe.
It's safe for us to walk over there if you want to.
Yes, let's do that. Did you say smashed up?
It might have been the roots that I saw. The thing that came out, the red, when the sky turned red a little, and there were roots.
Yes.
Question, V.
Yeah.
We ran from the epicenter of that thing. We stopped at the end. Would there have been enough time for someone to have let the crystal stop and then enter the crystal and do that and be... Is there even a chance, like, with
it did
the timeline?
Get slower at some point.
Do they even have time to be able to do that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, if someone was also having to run away from it, they stopped roughly the same time you did. They immediately turned around and ran back. Probably Ot would have seen them because, like, yeah, although like you guys took a little time to decide what you were doing, Ot could fly as the crow, whereas they'd have to like dodge around everything else. So Ot would have seen them. However, as Lark was saying, like they did see a creature appear. Which was as you were running. So that could have also have been the problem. Or the assassins did use sniper rifles. Perhaps they destroyed some of it with that. Who knows? There are many reasons, but a person running in and running out, Ot would have seen them probably.
Maybe it doesn't affect things that fly.
I mean, it probably wouldn't, but I don't know who would have been ready for that, you know? That would be a strange thing. To already have something flying in the area before we're able to respond and get something over there, you know?
Lark
it would
points
have
at
had
your
to been
drone
so
and...
planned that that's something that we should note if that's the case. But,
yeah, Lark points at your drone and says, maybe they had something like that.
You would have probably seen or heard it when we were running away. I think it's probably much more likelier that it was the creature you described. Let's go there and see if we can maybe see some tracks where the creature went. Maybe it's... I don't want to... I would rather not encounter it, but Aster did describe that thing as very important, and there are clearly people out there who think it's important. Maybe even the sickle thinks it is important, so that's a good enough reason to at least get into the hands of somebody else, in my opinion.
Who's going to be brave enough or foolish enough to step over the crystal line first?
Sully.
Okay.
I hate it, but it's definitely like... He's not going to let Lark do it. No way in hell. And I think...
Yeah.
I don't think I'm being unfair when I say I don't think Ralph has the initiative to strut in there first. I get the feeling that Ralph is kind of floating around with the group at the moment,
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
He has if Ralph would say right now, I'm leaving, Sully would go yeah, I get you. See you later, Chief.
Bye.
Yeah, I can see why. Goodbye.
Yeah.
You know what? I stepped outside. I'm wearing the wrong trainers. I'm out of here.
I'm wearing non-matching socks, guys. I'm sorry. I have to go home.
Look, if I could just restart the day at this point, as if it didn't never happen. Ooh.
But Lark already pointed out with a squirrel, so
and everything. Yeah.
So they would already to them this is not a dangerous area anymore. They would strut out in there.
Wait, even, squirrels are immune to crystals, and then we all crystallize.
Sully, you grab. I'm assuming everyone's grabbing all their gear. You chill. You can see that the gas station is probably about a 10-minute walk from where you are now. And yeah, with your back to that, you step over the crystal line. Nothing happens. You are completely fine.
You're a squirrel now.
What is it like to walk on the crystal? Does it feel slippery? Is it crunchy? What does it feel like?
So kind of as you step into the area, the ground below was previously tarmac and concrete, and the ground that had basically broken up into pieces, and it's still a road, but it's not one you want to drive a car down. And it still has the same texture, so any loose gravel and rock are crystalline and still kick around underneath you. But any area that had kind of a flatter, sheerer surface, it's not like walking on ice. It's not slippy, but it is if you're not wearing grippy shoes, you're probably going to fall over more than once. At least I would be flat on my ass instantly. But yeah, it's you probably want to walk with caution, but once you kind of get used to it, you'd probably be fine.
Yeah, Sully's going to lead the group towards where Aster went down.
Take the same route back. You pass the various cars, you turn into the correct way. You pass the crystallized corpses of the two assassins. You walk a bit further and reach kind of the chain link fence, and you pass the corpses of the two people that unfortunately got caught in the issue. And as you walk forward, as you kind of look off to your left-hand side, you see one of the cars that Aster was hiding behind, and there are pieces of broken crystal all around. A big portion of his chest and his arm is missing, exactly where the bag was. You can see the bag is still kind of attached to him in this crystalline form, but most of that too has been smashed and broken open. And you can kind of see this kind of hollow where the book used to be, and that you would remember I saw it there, it's no longer here. And you can see lots of other smaller items inside the bag that had crystallized. You can see some bits of survival gear, what looks may have been at some point some sort of fluid in a vial, kind of this is probably medicine, but it ain't no more. You can see loose papers and cards, and they don't really have any color to them anymore, but they are still oh yeah, you think that if you'd managed to get this out perfectly, you may still be able to do one of those rubbings that you would do on old stones to figure out what was written underneath. That may be possible, but getting that out in one piece would be kind of very difficult. You can still see some of those details. And You see in the bottom of the bag, unbroken, thankfully, although one of the cracks is very, very close to it, you do see this kind of sphere of red viscous fluid. It seems to still be moving and twisting a little bit, like it has motion to it, even though it should be basically completely still. And you can see, like looking through the see-through bag, you can see that it was contained in essentially like a round, like a spherical. We would think it's like a round potion bottle, like the kind of like spherical thing with like a little cap on it, and it has like clearly what looks like a cork in the top, but it seems to be like very well secured in there. That's what you get at a glance. The doors have been crystallized over as an entrance to the bunker, and you can see through it, and it's just darkness in there, and you can see that everything in there too has been turned to crystal. But it's
even the mirror on the mirror creature.
That's quite far down and quite far. You would have to go into the bunker to actually see what happened to him.
Literally, I was thinking the same thing.
Go have a look, I dare you.
I have no interest. Well, actually, I'm quite interested to go back into the bunker and see if anything specifically survived, but at the same time, not really. So it's a iffy situation.
I think Lark is taking out the compass again and like looking at the liquid in their compass and like the liquid in the bag, if they're close enough.
Like, yeah, if you're just like comparing them,
yeah,
like you're not like intently staring at them to try and like.
I guess they just want to make sure that
fluid?
It's the same thing, you know, the same substance.
Yeah, like you kind of swish it and move it, and like. Yeah, it has the same kind of motion to it. It has that same kind of like stickiness where it like kind of rises up the side and a little bit of it still stays right behind it, but eventually does like peter down and fall to the others. It has a very similar, almost the same kind of movement and look to it at least.
Do the if Lark brings the liquid closer to the one in the bag, does anything happen?
Are you going to like intently stare at them? Because if it's just like, I'm going to put it near it, then no, you don't see anything at all.
Okay. No, that's all they were going to do.
Okay.
Once Lark is like, while Lark is comparing their liquids, Sully's gonna like lean down and he's staring intently at the red liquid that belonged to Aster.
Okay, could you make a power roll, please?
Oh, come on. 68.
Do you want to push the roll?
Push a power roll? What does that look like? Like, I can't even fathom what that
I hate
like.
magic! I'm going to try this again!
You could push the roll by essentially like... I mean, at the moment, you're intently just staring at it. You could try and reach out and grab it.
You're getting out a monocle.
Yeah. You could try and reach out and like genuinely grab it and like hold it between two of your hands and just that's all you're trying to literally focus on. Like, you know, there's something odd going here. Normally it's just like, I'm just going to really stare at it, but like actually almost meditate looking at it. Like that could be a version of a push roll. I think if you were to fail that, I think we'd say there'd definitely be some sanity damage.
I can't afford sanity damage. You've already got me down to 29.
Yeah, you're having a pretty bad day.
You were very, very aggressive with me on the first episode, first couple of episodes.
Mm-hmm. Can Lark try to get that stuff out of the bag? Like break the glass off a little bit and get it out?
Yeah, like especially like the fabric areas when they're really thin, they're really easy to actually just break through. Like you could turn your sickle around and like your hand sickle around and like literally just tap it with the handle area on the pommel. Yeah. And just like give that a couple of like good sharp hits and like, yeah, it would like fracture around. You'd have to be very delicate with it. Because like getting the sphere out without breaking it would be very difficult, but you could give it a go. Yeah. So let's have a look at what kind of a roll we think that might be. Yeah, I think either a strength or a dexterity. A strength would be like one sharp hit, like just to smash out the things, and dexterity to be more like a bit more of a fine control
I think
on how and where you're applying pressure. So, yeah.
41, success.
Nice.
Great. Yeah,
Yay!
you managed to like tap like tippy tappies all in like different places, and like there is one bit where it seems like it's like fused with like papers and cards underneath it, or at least what used to be papers and cards, and you just it's kind of a twist and a bend, but you do kind of like use the blade just to flick that little bit out of the way, and it comes out almost whole. So yeah, you now have a glass vial.
Is there any reason why I would know what the red stuff is?
Take a luck check. Unless you can think of anything specific, I think a luck check.
Luck is a pretty good roll for me at this point. I was suspecting this would be a Yamel mythos or something wild. Happy
yeah,
to
it'd
make
be
it
that
a luck.
too, but I think
It could be luck.
I think luck is probably more accurate here. I think Yamel would be like, what specifically is this and how this works, and what this in the bigger picture of it is like, have you come across this before and do you roughly know what this is? Like, I think that's going to be a luck because you haven't been out very much, but you are involved in certain things. Like, we'll go with luck.
29 versus 56. Success.
Nice.
Yeah, like you've definitely heard of people asking for this kind of a thing. You've heard it referred to as light blood before, like L-I-G-H-T, not L-I-T-E. Light blood before. You've never seen it, but you've definitely heard of it. Like it acts in a very similar way. Like it has a blood texture to it. It's kind of like sticky and viscous. But people say that if you stare at it in the right way, you can see light particles in it. And sometimes they will point in directions or they will tell you something. And it has a kind of mystical quality to it. You've heard of it. You've heard people asking for it. You've heard people saying that they're selling it. But you've never actually come across it yourself. You've just heard of it.
Okay. And when people have this for sale, my knowledge on this might be limited. Because I don't like trade for those things, but would I have a knowledge of whether this kind of a item is extremely, extremely expensive, or is it just niche?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's very sought after. It doesn't come up very often, and yeah, it would be expensive. But if you don't know what you're looking at and you don't know how to use it, it's kind of useless to you. Like, you know that there is like specific cults that will sometimes look for it. You know, the collective has been known to look for it. Yeah, like, you know, people look for it, but unless you have a specific use for it, you haven't heard of anyone really.
It's on the level of my drone stuff, in my opinion, in Ralph's view,
like
for
it's
like
specialist
trade
equipment.
Purpose. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've got drone propellers. It's like, yeah, nobody's going to want that exactly except Ralph. Like,
yeah, exactly. But as you notice, it is also in Lark's compass, so it is used for like other random things, especially to like creepy or weird, or like as a keepsake or a memento. Like
the creepy or the weird,
but it has
creepy weirdos like Lark.
Can I expand on that and ask? Does Lark know why that is in the compass? Like, have they seen it used in the place where they got the compass from?
Probably not. That it was kind of like a last minute gift as you were leaving where you were. But you've never seen this before. And maybe before this point, you think it's just water or really weird blood, or this is a strange thing to give someone. But yeah, like,
so for Lark, it would just be like, oh, it's always been in here. I don't know why it is there, and I don't know that compass exists without it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, it's not something that ever would have been used where you got this from or from whom you got it from. Like, it's nothing that group of people would have ever really spoken much about.
Well, if I ever get back to that place, I have more.
I was also like looking, at that and trying to, for Neil, like discern. Just wanted to know if the red stuff was an extremely culty thing or if it was common. But you having it in your like decoration stuff does make it seem kind of like not culty, you know?
There is like a cult aspect to it. There is like a mysterious aspect to it. but it's not something that comes up often.
Isn't it?
Like
Is
an
it
amethyst, just decorating people.
No, it's. What's the old material we used to make glow in the dark stuff? Like it's radioactive.
Uranium?
Uranium. It's kind of like uranium. Like it has its very specific use, but also it makes shit glow in the dark. It's like that. It's like, yeah. That's where my brain goes now for a comparison.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like. Yeah, people can find uses for it, but it has a very specific like focus group that likes it.
Yeah. Okay. Doesn't represent cult stuff, but like is weird. Got it.
But
Yeah,
it's used by cults.
Yeah, like you know that the like some cultists will like seek it out. You know the collective, which is like the kind of big human group, non-cultist, non-plant peeps who just make outposts around the place and try to work for like the betterment of humans trying to at least exist or survive somehow. You know that they have asked for it on occasion, but you haven't really got much more
Some
information than
cultists
that.
all wear plain white Nikes, but that doesn't mean that other people can't also have plain white Nike.
Yeah, exactly.
When Lark breaks it out of the crystal and like seems to have it like kind of ready at hand, Sully, like, do you see something in there, like something shiny, something floating in it?
Is that directed at Lark?
Yes. Sorry.
Lark swishes it around and holds it up and takes a closer look.
Can I have you make a power roll, please?
5. Extreme success.
You have an extreme success on a
Yes.
5. As you actually kind of like, it may be because there's a significantly bigger amount of it now, or like Sully seems like, hey, do you actually see something in this? You kind of like hold the sphere and you begin to like look actually kind of like, yeah, what is in here? And you think you see like little twinklings and you can't draw your eye away from it. And then you see lots of small floating specks of kind of like bright lights. Like, how did you not notice the bright lights in here before? You see them all swirling and moving, and as you kind of like really begin to like, what the hell am I looking at? You realize it begins to swirl, and it kind of begins to make a shape like an arrow, and it's pointing at you. Could I have you make a sanity roll, please?
63. That's a success.
Okay, you take 1 point of sanity damage.
Yep. Lark sees it and steps aside, basically steps around the vial, so it's like turning into the other direction, and to see if the arrow continues pointing in that direction.
Yeah, it keeps following you. Yeah. It's like the kind of bright lights that are moving in there. They seem so bright to you. You don't understand why other people aren't seeing it, or how you didn't see it in the first place. It's kind of like, how did I not? Yeah, but it's definitely following you.
There's little dots in here, glowing dots. Don't you see them? And they hold it up to Sully to see, and like they point to the dots and they're like, look, it's making a shape. See?
Sully is gonna gently take it from your hand and like stare at it like intently.
Ralph is the only one who knows what this is, I think, and he's just watching you both stare into the sun.
Ooga booga. Strange liquid.
In that case, I'll let you roll a power roll with a bonus die.
All right. Power. I'm 2 away. Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm using 2 luck. It's a terrible idea, but I'm still doing it.
Much better. Yeah, as you look at it, you're like, you didn't specifically say to Lark what you were looking for, just like, do you see something? And you know it's supposed to make shapes and you know it's supposed to do stuff. And as you look at it and you're holding it in your hands and you're just like intently staring at it, you see like 1 or 2 like flashes of light, like maybe that's just your eye staring, and then it becomes more frequent. and then it becomes so bright that you don't realize how you didn't see it before. You see all these specks of light beginning to move and swirl around, and it kind of makes this strange pattern that you haven't really seen before until suddenly it solidifies into kind of an arrow shape, or at least like most of the things are in the general direction of where Lark is standing. And anytime that Lark moves or kind of like swishes around, those things keep tracking where Lark is standing. And then you blink a few times and it clears. You make a sanity roll for me.
I would like to not. Okay, it's a success.
Ooh.
Then you take... Oh, it's an extreme success.
Ooh.
Which does nothing for you. You take 1 point of sanity damage.
Yeah.
It makes a symbol that looks almost like the thing in the compass, and like they hold up the compass so you can see.
Yeah, the arrow.
Yep.
Sully's like,
Yeah, it makes an arrow. And it's pointing to you.
Maybe it's pointing at the compass, and like Lark holds it up to the...
It's definitely not pointing at the compass.
This is actually very important.
Is it? I don't know what it is.
It is
you can see Sully like search his memory for like a solid second.
It's a Carrick particle. And
Carrick.
yeah. It's something that my younger brother was looking for. It's something I've been looking for 20, 30 years? I've been looking for this for a very long time.
Oh. Do you want it? And they hold it out to you. No, wait, you're holding it.
Yeah. When you say, "Do you want it?" There's like an obvious like betrayal of emotions of like, yes, like you can instantly read that he in his mind like he is probably already holding it close to his body. He's like he's obviously greedy for this item at this moment. Like I don't think there's
It's the ring.
Yes, I would very much like this item.
You can have it. I have more in here. And they show you the compass again.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were going to have more compasses and stuff.
They got like a job lot, like 20 fell off the back of a van, and they got like these compasses with a scarab parts.
I have compasses and I have red liquids. What do you want? I have everything. They're actually a traveling merchant.
Lark opens up their jacket and have all these vials and all of these like quest items on the inside of their jacket.
I have a ton of this red fluid. I just decorate stuff with it.
It's about the size of like a baseball, Aethel. So
Yeah.
like it's like you've seen like carrot particle, you've seen like the kind of fluid before, you've never seen the light in it before. This is probably like everything that you've seen in your entire life in one place. So that this is a lot.
This is a shocking amount in one place.
Yes. Yeah.
I need to take this to Des Bazaar. It's where my brother works, or worked a couple of tens of years ago. If he's still there, he needs to get this item. I'm very sorry, Lark, but I have to do this.
That's okay. I don't need it.
No, I mean, if I didn't have to, I would probably take you with me to the... I would probably take you to Sarabel Farm, and we could take it easy until Roland would return. Or at least it's a safe place for you to stay for a little bit. But I cannot delay this. Maybe I can. It's been decades. Sorry. I'm a bit lost in thought.
You don't need to take me anywhere. I'm not looking for well, I am looking for a place, but right now I'm looking for Roland.
Yes, I assumed I was going to take care of you since Roland asked you to come to me. Sorry, I made an assumption there that I didn't mean to. What would you like to do, Lark? I have to go to Despasar. It's not really an option for me.
I've never heard of the place called Despasar, but maybe you have... Are there people there?
Yes, very many. It's one of the bigger collectives. They've got a lot of machines and technology there.
Yeah, I don't mind going there. Maybe I'll find someone who knows Roland or Driftwood, and they stare at the compass.
What's Driftwood?
Would Sully know that? I know what the word driftwood means, but...
Yeah. The way that Lark's saying it, you would assume Driftwood is a place. Probably a history check. Ralph, you can make a history check, but with a penalty die.
Okay.
Penalty die always makes it sound like something bad is going to happen if you fail this.
All right, let's roll that history.
Nah, it's a terrible failure.
Ooh.
Then you've probably never heard of Driftwood.
44 versus 30. Fail.
Yeah. Like you're hearing the word. There's like a vibe check going on, but like there's just you're not picking anything up. You've probably never heard of this place.
Let me see. And Aethor's gonna take a look at the map.
It's not on there.
No.
You think I put something like that on the map already?
No. Where Despasar is versus Diablera.
Oh, the one you're wanting to go to is 2 days to the right,
directions.
and the one that Aster wants us to go to is 1 day to the left.
Yeah. So Diablera and Despasar are both like collective outposts. One slightly bigger than the other, as you would expect. If you're looking for information on perhaps the whereabouts of where your brother is, I mean, it has been a decade plus. Is not an exaggeration how long you've been away and not spoken to him. So you could go 2 days in one direction and he not be there. Or you could go maybe, I mean, it's already beginning to get to that night part, so you're going to want to be finding a place to rest soon anyway. Or you could spend a couple of hours heading off in a close-ish direction, and maybe they would have some information that would help.
I can see the logic of that.
But then, of course, you'd be wasting like a day round trip if he ends up still being in Despasar.
Yeah. Well, he's waited 15 years plus. No, he's waited 25 years plus for this item. Sully definitely is considering things and mulling them over.
I think we might want to go to Diablera first. There is that friend Aster mentioned. I might also be able to get information about where my brother is stationed right now. Rather than walking to Despasar, might be worth kind of confirming where he is. Have you ever been to a collective, Lark?
Not for a long time, and it was a long time ago.
What about you, Rolf? I assume you've probably dealt with a collective before.
I think you look around and Rolf has wandered off this time y'all been talking. I'm looking for the monster in the book because, yeah, as soon as he was not so worried about the red goop, he let y'all just look into it, and I'm gonna go look for the monster. And I think he walks into the vault to look and see if it's in there, if it's not obvious where it went outside, if that makes sense. And I don't want to make a survival roll because that sucks for me.
No, that's fine. So you're looking for evidence of the creature that Lark saw, or are you going to try and find the mirror-faced monster that was at the bottom of the burrow?
Oh, no, I'm looking for the book. The one, whatever took the book, caused the damage, anything that might have... I'm looking at the blades of grass and all the crystallized stuff to see if there's any obvious giant footprints or anything.
You have two choices here. You can either take a spot hidden or you can take a track.
Yeah, spot hidden. Ooh. I'm going to use luck points.
Feeling lucky.
You do have them to spare.
Yeah.
So turning a 57 into a 50 success. As you kind of like look around and you're aware that the other two are talking about the particles and what this means and that they may need to travel between one or two different places. You look around and you're like, okay, book, monster, book, where is this? And you look around and you notice that there seems to be tracks that suddenly start in the middle of the car park. And you kind of like look at them and you see the way that the ground has been like slightly cracked and broken in a way that is not like the it's not like the concrete has broken, it's like the crystal has broken since being crystal. You can see scratches and grooves in it, and you can kind of like follow that, and as you're kind of like walking around and you kind of like nudge around Lark and Sully as they're talking, you can see that it definitely makes its way to Aster, and then it kind of like turns and kind of like moves its way back in like a slightly wider circle, not exactly back to where it started, but all of a sudden those tracks just stop right in the middle of the car park, very close to where the original did. And you look around and you're definitely not seeing a plant. Looking around, you're not seeing the book, you aren't seeing any signs that this creature is still here, but you can definitely tell something big with lots of sharp and dragging things came here. It smashed up Aster and the bag and made a bit of a loop. And again, as suddenly as it started on the ground, it has stopped.
Yeah, so you look over and you see Ralph off in the parking lot of ways, I guess. I don't know how far I am from you.
I like the idea that Ralph is
not far.
Okay.
Yeah. I like the idea that Ralph is standing kind of in the middle of the parking lot and he's doing like a twisty turny thing where he's like shifting his body like 180 degrees, but he's just looking at the ground. It's just like looking for the creature. But
like Ralph has definitely wandered up behind you, like scooted between you while you two are talking, and then gone back to a very similar place. Like, wait, what happened? What?
It doesn't really matter if he's been to a collective. Collectives are places where you can bargain for items if you have something of value to them. They manufacture a lot of trash that people can use, and some useful things.
Okay. Well, that sounds like there are more places for work.
You looking to work?
No. Well. It depends. No. I think I have other things to do. Maybe I can find work there, but I don't really want to stay at a place here.
Yeah, I get that. Ralph!
Yeah?
I want to go to Diableria before, tomorrow. What are your plans?
Well, I don't really have any. Everything's kind of gone pretty poorly. So, the book, I can't find whatever took it. It seems to just disappear right here.
Yeah, the book.
And Sully's gonna probably trace roughly the same steps as Ralph did before. Sully gets to where Ralph is standing, where the creature rose and disappeared from.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Ralph probably walks him through what he already figured out. Sully's like staring at the ground, like staring deep into the ground. Does it look like there's anything down there? Like, how deep does the crystal go?
When you look down, it's mostly kind of like white frosting. Like, it feels like crystal when you're stepping on it. And like you can like nudge some of that away, and you notice that it definitely goes down a distance, but it's mostly just like dirt colored beneath you. It's just brown and rock and blackness. And yeah, like the pair of you can look down. You can even like, you know, use lights or use OT to provide something extra. Like what is down there? It's just rock and dirt, and crystal for not massively deep, but deep enough.
I guess Lark said this thing came out of the ground. It might be able to burrow or dig.
Did I say that it came out of the ground? I don't think I did.
Oh, I thought you said
Came out
it
of
like
the sky.
It appeared.
There was a hole in the sky or something like that.
Yeah, there was like a red glow, and like you saw little crackles in it, and then
okay, teleporting. Okay, cool.
We're gonna go over my battery situation here, because I've been using it a lot. But can I send Odie on a quick trip into the vault to make sure that everything is still quiet down there?
Yeah.
There's no monster with a book down there. The book isn't magically returned to its pedestal. This is a magic
everyone
book.
who takes the book ends up dead. So you can absolutely send OT down there. And yeah, like it's almost all crystal. When you get to the very bottom of the bunker, probably about halfway across that floor, it has been like crystallined. And you can see that like up to where the crystal ends, like you can see the giant arms that Sully just kind of blew away with shotgun blasts. Like, yeah, like that part is crystallized, but where the edge of the crystalline stops, you can still see the remains of like the mirrored-faced creature, obviously without the mirror on its face anymore, just kind of like stuck in the door exactly as it was. It's kind of like it went to a certain point and then the crystallining stopped. So yeah, it's still down there and it still appears to be quite dead.
Okay. And no sign of the book down there or anything else down there. Okay.
No,
excellent.
like OT can only see a little bit through the crack in the door because the creature's holding it at a certain point over, but it can't. It's too small of a gap for even OT to get into. Flashing around lights, the book hasn't returned back to the pedestal or lectern or anything like that. Like you don't really spot anything of note.
Okay. Yep. Odie comes back.
So. Battery use. I think we had agreed on 1d10 per hour. Let me check.
Yes, I've been using it quite a bit.
Yeah, let's say for like... So this whole ordeal has probably been about 2 and a bit hours. You've had some intense uses and you used it a bit before. So let's say 3d10. And that's how much your battery will decrease by.
19. Why would I round?
Why don't I make this worse? So yeah, for Ralph, who has an inordinate amount of battery-based technology, Ralph has a mechanic, which is basically battery usage, and it is out of 100 every hour. We'll roll a d10 of which your tech is being used, and we'll take that away from the battery, and we'll assume at some point that there will be recharging sessions, but that's not really needed right at this moment. You've probably got 3 or 4 hours before sundown. You can still do a little bit after sundown, but you don't really want to risk getting caught too much out. I mean, you can sleep out in the forest. It's not advisable and it's not going to be a pleasant night, but if you guys really wanted to do that, you could. You're probably about... Let's have a look at the scale, shall we, baby? Yes, yeah. You're probably about a day walk, like a whole 24-ish hours away from Diablo. So you're probably going to want to rest and then take off, and you should be there by nightfall the next day. And you are going to need to rest now, so you could do a straight 18-hour walk, and you could probably get there, but you'd be walking through the entirety of the night. You can do it.
We're not doing that.
You can probably stay here.
I know you don't have a library of monsters ready for us, but I know you throw something at us if we dare pull our all-nighter.
We probably won't make it to Diableria tonight. So we probably want to find a place to stay. At least for now. There's the gas...
This is a good place, isn't it? This is a good place, isn't it? Everything is made out of glass.
We could go down into the burrow.
We can see everything that's above us.
Yes. I would like to go through the burrow. Now that we have more time, I would like to scavenge a little bit. There's probably something worthwhile, and I'm probably going to have to find something to trade with the... I probably have to find something to trade with the collective, so... It's a good plan.
Well, there's a lot of glass shards here.
I don't know how worthwhile these crystals are.
And I think Sully's gonna pick up like a piece of aster and kind of like just play it. It's all...
Man, you're making it so hard not to make you roll a sanity check right now, man. You're playing with some dead dude's corpse.
Look, I got his finger.
Hey,
Look, I have his earlobe.
I've already taken sanity damage for the idea of people turning to glass twice. So
yeah. It's just difficult.
I know.
Lemon difficult.
Yeah. Would I know or think that this crystal would be worth anything?
It may be a curiosity. Maybe it would be worth something to folks who are interested in magic, be they cultists or covens. Maybe the collective would be interested in looking at this. Maybe someone might find it interesting, if nothing else.
Yeah. All right. Sully's gonna take the red vial, the particle vial, and he's gonna wrap it in a nice shirt, and he's gonna put it very much in the center of his backpack where it's not gonna accidentally crack and break. He's also gonna go and he's gonna break off just like a flower or something like that. And again, he's gonna wrap it in a sock or something and put it somewhere where it's not gonna get like accidentally broken.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I understand that the vial is made out of crystal, but I'm going to have to hand over the vial at some point. So it's, I can at least trade the crystal.
Ralph, I'm assuming that you want to at least spend the night with us before tomorrow.
I would rather not be traveling right now.
If your plans are a little bit up in the air, I would appreciate your company to Diableria. The traveling alone with Lark is much better than traveling alone, but the more people, the better. I would be happy to pay you somehow, be it in information or items or promises. I know they're not worth much in this world anymore, but...
I'm not sure we should stay here, though. If anyone comes to check out what happened, I'd rather us not be cornered down in the burrow. Especially since we don't know the intentions of everyone that's been coming around here. And he tosses you the sniper that he picked up off the other person.
There's one chambered, and I'm assuming you chuck out the extra 6 ammo as well. Sully, they appear completely... It's a very nice-looking sniper rifle. It has a very good scope on it. It's definitely better than the scope you kind of haphazardly this will work on your former rifle. There are only 6 extra for it. The shells aren't special in any way at all. You can now pass that over. Your current ammo stock... And basically your current rifle and the new sniper that you've got, the ammo doesn't match up, so you'd have to get separate.
Okay. What is this rifle?
Let me check loots. A 303 Enfield sniper.
There it is. All right, I've added it to my character sheet.
You're just loaded with weapons. Holy shit.
Yeah, the Enfield definitely lives in my, lives weirdly attached to the backpack. It is not my go-to weapon.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Sully receives the gun and he kind of plays over it in his hands, checking it over. And then
okay. Unfortunately, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of things that are worthwhile down there, though. I would like to go down and do a little bit of a scavenging run. And then we can either go to the gas station and hole up where I saw Aster for the first time, or we can go to the city. The city is a more easily hideable place, a defendable place. It's not an obvious place where somebody will find us. But the gas station is a more simpler place to find ourselves.
Sure. Sounds like a plan.
Weren't you looking for books earlier? There are still books where the monster came out of, right?
Yeah, like you thought you saw like other things in like the kind of the caged area where the creature came from. There is like the corpse of the monster stuck in the door. You may have to climb over a little bit and pray and hope that you're small enough to get through. But otherwise, I think that Ralph did pick up like a bunch of books on farming that was actually in the area where the seeds were.
All right. If Ralph is okay with it and Lark wants to, Sully wants to do a scavenging run off the burrow. And at this point, Sully assumes that the burrow is no longer usable as a habitat. So there will be, like, what do we call it? Reclamations. Like, things that, like, Sully wouldn't have fucked with because they were functional. It's now like, yeah, this is never going to be a safe place for anybody to stay. This is going to be torn apart. So I'm going to be picking bits and pieces out of everything. The bits and pieces that are important. The part of the vault that isn't crystal.
So,
sorry, burrow.
Yeah, in the burrow, as you go down and you start with the left-hand side, and you find that it's essentially a bunk area. It's a living quarters. So you can see that there are beds set up. You can see that there's like a little kitchen area with an extractor fan, but obviously this is all like super dark now. It's very difficult to see, so I'm assuming you're going to have some sort of light source if you're in here. As you look around, you also know that there are kind of other rooms that lead off of this bunk area, like the main common area, and they're kind of like your bathrooms, and you find like a small office, and you find kind of this larger tech room that looks like it has like a data bank of hard drives. You can see that there is a computer. You can see that there's a microphone and a camera set up. It's kind of like a communications room, but it is currently bereft of power, probably because a good portion of the burrow has now turned to crystal and the electricity may or may not be working. So yeah, you kind of find that down there. Unfortunately, the bag that had most of the stuff in it that Saluna found of interest, that's crystal now. However, I would like you to make an appraisal check so that you can fill up your prepared scavenging equipment.
All right. Normal roll. How, game? Oh, that's so mean.
Oh,
I rolled a 90 on an 80. That's a fail.
Yeah, let's say you top it up by like a D6. Like you don't really find much of value. You could grab like wires, but it's not really useful. Like, yeah, there's a data bank, but it seems to be like very difficult to get it out. And it looks like it's kind of, there's not a lot of it that hasn't been destroyed or shorted in any way. Mm-hmm. The computer is built in, and getting that whole thing out would be an absolute nightmare. And it looks very specific to this like burrow or this like type of burrow. Yeah. Maybe you could grab the microphone and that's what you grab. But other than that, like you really don't find much of value at all.
Yeah. All right. I'm happy with that. Jesus Christ, 90 on a fucking 80. Come on. I put so much points into appraise, and oh, that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah, so that will at least top up a bit of your scavenging mechanics, but alas, I'm afraid that's not.
Yeah. Unless the rest of the group wants to look for or scavenge anything, I'm more than happy to move on.
You said the computer parts were pretty much nothing.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe there's one hard drive that you could grab, but it kind of looks like it got fried. Could I have you make a spot hidden though?
Sure.
You spot a virus on the hard drive.
Spot a shy little drone like peeking out of the corner. Like
they have like really bright feathers and they have like little fangs out the front. That's not happening.
Fail. I saw the dice. It was going to be 20, and then it was like 6. Damn it.
Alas, like you look around, like maybe if you like jumped behind the back of the computer and you had extremely long arms, there might be like a flash drive that had fallen down, but like honestly, there's really nothing worth here. You do recognize the setup. It's very similar to the one that's in the burrow where you spend most of your time. It has like a very similar feel to it, but there's nowhere near the same amount of equipment, and yours is functional, at least the last time you saw it, versus this heap of shit. So yeah, it's alas nothing real value in them.
Okay.
Okay. We're going on to the gas station.
I like kind of left it up to the group. I have no preference where we go.
Gas station's fine with me. It doesn't matter. I don't think we need to go further than that.
Yeah, it's a known
location.
It's a known element. It's unnecessary to go to a new dangerous location.
Are you sure? There's cool things in New Milan. I'm just going to make up.
I know. I desperately want to go there, but Sully would not be dumb enough. But I was going to let the group decide if they wanted to go there. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, like it takes a little while to do the investigation into the burrow and what extras is there. Like there's no extra seeds. You pretty much found all the good ones. It is almost impossible to get into the kind of the central room where the creature came out of and where the book was. The gap is just kind of too narrow, and it's dark, and you can't get that power working on the door. It's just not shifting or moving whatsoever. And you kind of like flash your light around. You just kind of see like papers and broken shit. It's just like, I mean, yeah, if you had like a couple of cranes and like 400 men to look through it, you could probably get it open, but right now it's probably not worth getting stuck here. The sun is like, it's about to do the setting thing. That you have a couple of hours of daylight left. It'll be okay. And you manage to make your way back towards the gas station. It's fairly uneventful. You don't spot anyone. You don't hear anything. As you kind of like head in that direction, you notice like, you know, a couple of like really small plants that have like 4 leaves that seem to like skitter around and like head away from the direction you are. There's probably about half a dozen of them, but they don't seem to be a threat, and they haven't really noticed you, and they're headed towards like around the lake. So like there doesn't seem to be any real other threats out. You make it back to the gas station, totally fine. Inside the gas station itself, the kind of like main shop area, a portion of the ceiling has collapsed and just kind of ruined everything. And there wasn't really much to scavenge here at this point anyway. You can still see, ironically, that the cash register is still there. It's closed. There's a couple of like cabinets underneath it that don't seem to have been ruined. A little bit covered in mold, but not terrible. And there's like a little staff area kind of in the back where Sully, you would have known that Asta had like slept the night before, and it's definitely obvious that someone had been there. Like it'd been tidied up a little bit, and there's like footsteps in the dust. But it's large enough for the 3 of you to like lay down and take a rest if you want to, and you can close and bar both of the doors, one that leads to the shop area and one that leads kind of like out the back, which is where Asta had gone out to shoot the Hollow's Crest that was after Lark at the time. Yeah, there's like one window in here. It's a little bit grubby, but like you can definitely like rub it down and you'll get like, you know, whatever moonlight will be coming through. It's not full moon this evening, but it's definitely making its way towards that. Yeah. There's a couch in here, but it's a little bit moth-eaten, but it still exists. A little sunken. You wouldn't want to sit for it a long time, but you could definitely sleep on it if need be. And that's what you find.
I think this would probably be a good place for us to rest up. Actress and exit, and a place to lie down.
Great.
I can do the first watch, that's no problem, or I can do the second or third, whatever you guys want.
I'm going to be up for a minute anyways. I'm going to go through some of... he taps on his headset. I gotta go through some footage. I might have a couple of screenshots at least of that book for reference.
Yeah, that would be good. Esther seemed to think it was very important, so...
Shame it's gone now.
Did you catch what it was about? I I'll admit I wasn't fully interested in that book. Was more worried that Asta was going to do something. Unfair to say now, but the truth. I was afraid he was up to something shady. Did you catch anything?
I don't usually deal in magic, so I couldn't tell you what any of the book is.
Sully looks to Lark, just like...
Anything?
Lark just shrugs.
I'm gonna get comfortable and set up near the window so I can listen out for things. And I'm gonna go through on my headset. His ears are open. You can talk at him when he has his headset in. And I just want to see if I can get a couple clear images of the book to analyze.
Shouldn't have let Neil be the tech guy. He's going to throw this kind of shit at you all the time.
No, this is fine because it means that when you guys miss stuff in the moment, we have an ability to not miss it.
Rewind.
Yeah.
Probably because we don't really have a technology use, right? That's just not a thing. But I think probably a computer use to be able to get like a good image because you didn't see the book that often, and every time you did, it was almost always moving. And I think when Ralph and when Sully were seeing it, they couldn't really read it in that moment, but it's whether you can get a clear enough screenshot that you can actually read what may be written on the front of it and get a better idea of what it is. So, yeah, I'm going to say a computer use for that. Unless you can think of anything else.
No. Oh my god. Nope. I rolled very nicely. Yet again.
Nice.
69 versus 50 is a failure.
No, but you definitely, like, from what you're seeing on the screen and what you're seeing, like, from captures of the day, it's kind of like a small green pocketbook. It appears to be a very old book. It has this kind of like really dark green leather to it, but it's faded in places, and like the area, like the kind of binding at the back is definitely like worn. It's quite old. The text on it, you don't really get a clear enough image, but it seems to be like a cursive font, or maybe handwritten on it. Yeah, you don't really get much beyond that. Like, you kind of get the gist on this is what the book looks like, and it's definitely really old. But that's kind of all that you're really able to grab from the images today.
Okay. Yeah. That's frustrating for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he appears.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Appears frustrated. As he's taking off his backpack and everything. Something that I hadn't mentioned. Underneath his tarp and with his backpack, you can't really notice, but when he's not like using his computer stuff, his left arm is kind of still in front of him and close to his chest, and his shoulder is still down in such a way that you can tell it's an injury and not like what you might see as initially like a posture of carrying a backpack, like heavier on one shoulder than the other. So
Yeah.
it kind of looks, it doesn't look like anything up until this point. And it makes sense to you because he has mentioned when he's done work like with you before that he would need help like moving things and stuff if that were the case. So you suspect that this is just an injury, an old injury on his arm. It doesn't bother him or anything. It doesn't appear to bother him. But this looks like in this world when you have like a large crushing injury or something and you can't get your bones, like you can't have surgery to like put your bones together. It just kind of heals how it heals in this world. Things just, they heal how they heal, and that's what you get.
Yep.
So you suspect that he doesn't have a lot of strength in that arm, but he does mention that when doing business with people. So you would probably have that kind of like connection to make.
Yeah, definitely. Sully would like take that in, like respectfully, like, oh yeah, he did mention
It really blends into his posture, and he wears a tarp, so it's kind of, yeah. And backpack being on a shoulder, kind of like the shoulder being a little lower and sunken in closer to his side is not super noticeable. Doesn't seem to bother him.
You are now forgiven for not knowing how to use rifles and shotguns. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think Sully just sets out like I don't think he sets out a very like super comfy space, but he has like one of those like insulation mats that he kind of rolls out, and he probably like bundles up like a piece of clothing to put under his head as a pillow, and he's gonna like lie down and try to get comfortable before he wants to ask Lark a couple of questions. So
Lark is also like taking out a blanket out of their backpack and basically like finding a corner in the room to sleep in and drapes the blanket over themselves, and is probably already getting ready to do sleepy stuff.
Yeah, I think.
But we haven't hashed out like in which order we want to do the things, the night watch stuff.
Watches, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I suggested that I could take first watch. I
Yeah,
can't remember
but
if
the
that
rest
was
is
in
not
my
decided.
head or if it was out loud.
No, you did out loud.
Okay.
Yep.
You hallucinated out loud.
Okay.
Yeah, when Sully's like trying to get comfy and he sees Lark like getting ready in a corner, Sully like sits up. Do you not want to take the couch?
They shake their head. I like the floor. That's where I usually sleep.
Oh, Sully looks over at Ralph, who's a full-grown man and can take care of himself, and like, but has the visor down. Sully like kind of moves himself over to the couch. All right, no problem if you're comfortable. But sorry, Lark, I want to. Sorry to pry, but I'm a little bit curious. What were you and Roland doing? I didn't really get the chance to ask you. There were so many people and so much to do.
He was teaching me some things to survive.
Magic things?
Yeah, it's something like that. I'm not sure if I would call it magic. I sometimes have... There are weird things that happen when I dream, and he was helping me try not to dream.
Weird things like what? Is this something I have to worry about? Sorry.
Well,
Please explain this to me so I can understand what we're talking about. Sorry. You can see like Sully like genuinely looks a little bit like angry at himself. Like he looks angry at himself. Like, okay, you came off strong there, dude. Calm down.
well, sometimes I have nightmares of a place that is... It feels more nightmarish than all this this stuff happening around us with the plants. I don't like it. I don't want to dream.
I mean, it's relatively common to get nightmares. You said strange things happen.
Well, I see... there are people in my dreams that I see, and they are also running from the things that I'm running from. But they seem to be aware that what is happening there is a dream. And they talk to me. There's one person called Bree that I sometimes see. I haven't seen her in a while. She I hope she's all right. V, how long would you say? How long ago was that dream that I had?
The one where we specifically did the footnote. Probably a couple of months ago. You have seen her a couple of times since then, but you have been getting better at controlling when you do and don't dream. I mean, sometimes you'll slip, and it takes a lot of work to do it. You're not like a complete master at it, but yeah, it was probably a couple of months ago since did the footnote, but you probably saw her probably a couple of nights ago, probably within a week for sure.
There are monsters in my dream, and we are always running from them, and I hate running from monsters outside of my dream and in my dream. I don't like it. And Roland was basically helping me control when I dream and when I don't. But I wasn't very good at it yet.
I understand. But it's nothing for us to worry about. If you start screaming out, we just wake you up?
Yeah, I would appreciate that. I usually wake up on my own, though.
It's the usual MO when people are having nightmares. It's just to wake them up, get them out of it.
I usually dream. I sleep very lightly. I'm
sure we all sleep lightly.
usually alone.
Sorry, yeah, like he starts saying we probably all sleep lightly, and then you say I'm usually alone. Like he stops and like...
I'm sorry. Do you usually travel by yourself?
Yeah, when Roland is not there.
How do you survive alone out there? It's very dangerous.
When there's plants around, I move. And like they indicate that like they only have like their backpack and the blanket out. Like I just take everything and run. That's what I do.
But what if you get hurt?
I try not to.
Yeah, but when you do get hurt, a plant managed to latch onto you. Poison, venom, a broken finger, a sprained ankle. Like, these things can get death sentence out there. I mean, I get it, you're young, you probably tolerate a lot more beating than I can, but have you just been lucky? Have you never...
I've got a few bruises here and there, some cuts. I don't think I ever broke a finger. Well, Roland has taught me a few things that I can do if I get injured, like a cut or a bruise. And like they reach over to their backpack and like pull out some what's it called? The stuff that you pull. God, what is it called? Bandages. Words.
Words hard.
Yep, words hard. And they indicate like some bandages. But I've gotten pretty good at avoiding injuries most of the time.
Fair enough. Maybe I'm just a bit of a klutz out here.
He says that without smiling.
That's fair enough. What are you, other than finding Roland, what are you looking to accomplish?
I'm trying to get back to Driftwood.
Never heard of Driftwood. What place is that?
It is land in the middle of water. Island?
Yeah, an island. It's like an island somewhere?
Yeah.
How do you not know where, like, did you get lost? Did you wander away?
I couldn't stay there. I kept hearing things, and I didn't want to stay there. I needed to go. But now I want to go back. But I haven't been around any large places of water, like not like larger than the lake outside. I haven't found anything like that. Been walking around a while.
Sully doesn't know of any islands in any of the lakes, does he? We already rolled history that he didn't know that at least Driftwood.
Not in any lakes. You've definitely seen the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
You've definitely seen like big islands out in the ocean. that may or may not be what they're talking about. Like, you wouldn't know.
On your island, did you see land all around you? Or did you see land in just one direction? I'm wondering if you came from the ocean or if you were in one of the lakes.
Just from one direction.
Probably the ocean, then. That's very far south. You've traveled a very long distance. How long since you left Driftwood?
About this time of year, a year ago.
Yeah. And have you just been staying in the woods?
I've been trying to understand this thing, and like they hold up the compass.
Oh. Trying to understand it.
Arenda gave it to me, and I'm not entirely sure what it means. And I've just been following the arrow a little bit.
Yeah, there's definitely like a hesitation from Sully.
Lark, do you know what a compass is?
This?
Yes.
And they hold it up.
Yeah. Yes. Do you know what that is? What that does?
It points.
Do you know what it points to?
No. Something. I'm sure Arenda wanted me to go there.
Sully's gonna go into his backpack and he's gonna find some little magnet or something that he has.
Yeah.
Who did you say gave that to you?
Arenda.
Arenda. Is that your mother or friend?
She lives on Driftwood. She showed me where it was. She brought me there the first time.
She showed you where this compass was kept?
No, she gave it to me when I left.
She gave it to you when you left. And did she tell you to follow the arrow, or?
She gave it to me so I can find my way back.
What you're holding is a compass. It's a navigational tool that was invented by humans hundreds of years ago, way before the sprouting. And what it does, it is points north towards the North Pole, which is supposed to be a frozen land, just like a big glacier.
Lark has no concept of this.
No.
So, winter?
Yeah, Winterland.
Winter Wonderland, yay!
It's not guiding you anywhere. It's a point of reference. It's pointing using I think it was called like the magnetic something of the Earth. And
Sully's gonna bring up his magnet.
And it points north because of magnets.
And he's gonna bring it closer to the compass and like pull the arrow out of alignment from north.
Oh no! Lark pulls it away when they see that the arrow is pointing somewhere else. They're like, no, you're not fucking this up.
Sully's like happy to let you do that. He's not like, no, you have to see. Like he's like,
it's not a guide. It's like a map. There's no spot you're trying to get to. It's not guiding you. If you follow that arrow, you will simply die.
I've been following for a year and I'm still alive.
Keep following it. You'll spend the rest of your life wandering north until...
Sully, like, starts scanning his brain for, like, what the fuck is to the north, and just like...
The Alps.
Yeah.
And the recent scary screaming noises that have started up in the Alps recently.
It's gonna point you north, towards the Alps. I've been hearing some ghost stories of the Alps, but even not climbing the Alps is no easy task. And even when you get past the Alps, you've managed to leave the cradle. As far as I know, there are no big human civilizations out there. There's something, people come and go, but it's nothing stable out there.
Well, it's not always been guiding me in one direction. I mean, I've always followed it, but I've never gone that far in that direction where the mountains are.
Changes where it points?
I don't know if it changes.
Yeah, I don't think you would know because you're just kind of blindly following it, so you wouldn't know whether it's changing direction or not. So I can't actually tell you. Sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry. I won't put the magnet close to it again. I just want to explain to you what a compass really is and what you're holding. Tomorrow, when the sun rises, the compass is going to be 90 degrees angle from the sun. And when the sun sets, it's going to be 90 degrees from the sun. It's always going to point straight north, no matter where you are on the earth. And there's nothing...
And if it doesn't, we need to know immediately.
Yes.
Ralph chimes in from the background.
It's a navigational tool. I think your friend didn't give it to you to follow, but to help you find your way back. So you need to start walking the opposite direction of where the arrow points, because it's pointing north and the ocean is to the south. Kind of southeast from where we are right now.
But if I follow it backwards, then I would go all the way back to the entire way that I've been walking since I started trying to get back to Driftwood.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. You've been, as far as I can tell, you've been going the wrong way. Do you remember looking at the compass when you came to the mainland, when you left Driftwood?
No.
It's been a year. I'm not surprised. I'm sorry, I'm not going to tell you not to follow your compass. It's your life and your journey. But I'm warning you, if that is what I think it is, which is just a compass, a piece of metal floating on a alcoholic solution affected by the magnetic of the earth, it's just going to keep pointing you north until you reach a frozen wasteland. Maybe there are no plants there. Maybe that's where you want to be, but I don't think that's going to be home.
Well, we will see tomorrow if you're right, when the sun rises.
We'll see.
Footnote: Lark's Nightmares. You open your eyes, and the sky is purple, and the ground is blue. There are creatures off in the distance that seem to be a writhing mass of vines and leaves and flesh and material. And when you open your eyes, you remember where you are. You dream of this place often. This is not new. You know that you need to get up off the floor and start running. This isn't like a normal dream. This isn't something that flits and changes and with a thought, you can be in a better place. No, this feels real, and it does every time you dream of this place. You see rocks and boulders, and you start running towards them. And you hear a woman calling out for you. She's probably not much older than you are right now. You're probably kind of mid to late teenage. A few years have passed since we last had a backstory with you. You see this woman. She kind of appears as if out from nowhere, and she calls your name out. She has straightish brown hair, blue eyes, and freckles. She's wearing a long dark green jacket and a black and purple checkered shirt. She calls out to you. Lark, come on!
Do I know this person?
Yeah, you have seen this person many, many times in this weird dreamscape. Not all the time, but quite often. You know that this young woman has introduced herself to you as Bree on many occasions.
B-R-E?
B-R-I-E. I with the apostrophe. So the Icelandic E.
Ah, okay.
Bree. Yeah.
And this is a person that only appears in the dreams, but I don't know them in quote unquote real life.
Yeah, you've never met them in the real world. You've only ever met them in this weird dream world. Yeah.
And they've always just called my name in the dream world.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have spoken to you a few times, but it's always like really brief. Whether it's because your visits here are brief, or whether their visits here are brief, or maybe this is just some really weird dream you keep dreaming about. Who knows? At this point, they're just dreams.
Yeah.
They're just weirdly real.
Lark is trying to figure out where the voice is coming from and running towards her.
You see Bree like pop her head out behind one of the boulders, like this kind of large, like dark green boulder that seems to be glowing red very, very faintly. And yeah, you can see like the freckles on her face, and she just has these really piercing blue eyes that just immediately focus on where you are.
I'm here.
Lark, come on. You have to run. I can see them coming. And she points up in the sky, and you can see these large winged beasts that have these massive like fangs that seem to be bigger than the wings themselves. That seem to be heading down in your direction. And Bree says, come, I think there's a place underneath this rock that we can hide. Come on.
I'm coming. And they're running over.
Yep, could you make a dodge roll, please?
What are my dream stats?
They're the same as your material stats, yeah.
58, which is still a success, but a very close success.
Very close to not succeeding.
Yeah.
Yeah, you run your way over to where the boulder is, and there's like a slight trip over the edge of the boulder as you get there. But you can see that, like, as you kind of land, she kind of grabs you like by your shoulder and your waist and just drags you into this obvious hollow that's underneath this rock. And you see this giant creature just crash land in front of you, but it's so large it can't even really see where you went. You were there 1 minute and then whoop, straight into the earth the next. And you hear it like cry out with what sounds like 400 different voices, just chuckling and laughing, and just takes off into the air. And you can see that Bree is just kind of like breathing, like trying to control her breathing, just not give herself away. And she looks at you and she says, oh, I'm glad I was here this time.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you were here too.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Doing okay. I'm not sure where I am.
I think we're in the same weird hell that I normally dream, so I don't know.
Do you dream of this too?
Yeah. And you always seem to dream of it too, so I don't know. Maybe I'm the dream and you're the sleeper, I don't know.
Well, if this is a dream, then I'm not sure what is worse, the dream or the outside world.
I don't know, Lark.
They're both pretty horrid.
The outside world, at least with all of its monsters and all of its creatures and all of its people, I mean, at least I have my guns there, and I don't have anything here.
If this was the outside world, I think the monster would have come after us. It would not just go, like, leave us alone like it did just now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. It would probably, like, slither around with its weird tendrils or its vines or something.
It would find a way.
Yeah.
They have ways of getting into all the cracks. That's weird.
Yeah.
Do we should probably not stay here. Did you say that there was, like, a path down?
She kind of like turns very awkwardly, and you can see that she's lying on her back, and she points down at where her feet are, and you can see that there is like this kind of hole where her legs are dangling over. She's a little bit taller than you, so like for you didn't even know it was there. She's like, yeah, I think there's something down, but I'm kind of too scared to go down, really.
Well, it can't be that much worse than staying up here.
True. Oh, and you can see that she kind of looks away, and you can see her eyes blinking a few times, and she says, Oh, I think I'm waking up.
Oh no.
That's okay. Hopefully you'll be here next time.
Well, you know it. Always here.
Yeah. Well, good night or good morning, figment of... And she disappears. Poof. Gone. Poof. So, what do you want to do in your dream, Lark?
Do I have, like, anything with me? Like, any of my stuff? Or nothing?
Not really. You really only have the clothes that you fell asleep in.
Okay. Can I see anything down in the hole that was below? Or, like is there any kind of light source that I can see?
There isn't, but you can definitely, like, because you are slightly smaller than she is, you could definitely have, like, twist yourself around and look down the hole if you want to. Could you make a spot hidden for me, please?
I can attempt it.
Yes, please.
Hello, go down there. It's a 70, which is a fail over 5.
A fail!
Oh, no.
No, you spin around and you look down this hole, and you can tell that it's not like... What you're looking at is like another bubble in the earth, I guess, like another kind of like hollowed out area. And you can very faintly hear the sound of like fluid, like just sloshing and moving around. And you think maybe you see something writhing below, but as soon as you go to kind of like, am I really gonna look at this more clearly? Your eyes flicker open and you find yourself laying in the ruins of a house. It has 4 walls. You find yourself laying on the floor or on the bed, your choice. And you can see that there is a kind of, what looks like an older gentleman who is wearing what looks like a long duster jacket. And he has like this kind of large, what looks like a cowboy hat on, just kind of ducked over his face. And he's like sitting in this like armchair with what looks like a really big like bag that's kind of just resting on his lap, and he has his hands like folded over it, and maybe he's asleep. He's not making a lot of noise. I mean, he could be dead also, but he's not making any noise. But yeah, you're in a safe-ish place.
What time of day is it?
You guess maybe an hour or 2 before sunrise.
Okay. So I did get some sleep. A little bit.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. They're getting up and stretching a little bit. Like, they're happy to be out of that dream. And they're probably not going to attempt to do that again.
Yeah. As you kind of like get up and stretch, you see Roland like, lift his hand off of the bag and just like tip his hat back up and look over in your direction. He's like,
Bad dreams?
Of course, every night.
You know, sometimes I have bad dreams too.
You do?
Yeah, but I don't always know what they mean. Dreams can be an awful place.
Do you happen to go to the same place every time you dream?
Not always. But when I go to that place, I can't tell if it's real or if it's a dream.
Yeah.
But over the years, I've learned how to suppress them. Not allow myself to dream of that place. I can if I want, but I rarely do.
Can you teach me how to do that?
he kind of like bites his bottom lip a little, and he kind of like nods very slowly, and he's like,
I could. It would take a little while to learn the technique, longer to perfect it. It's not something you learn overnight, ironically.
I understand that.
Then I will teach you.
I would like that. The place I go to in my dream is always the same, and it's not a pleasant dream. I can't decide if it's worse being out here or in the dream. But it feels like in the dream there's far fewer spaces to hide in and a lot more monsters.
Sadly, it sounds familiar.
Maybe you've had a similar dream?
Very frequently. Only one highlight. I used to see this woman.
Bree?
No.
I always see this girl. I think her name is Bree, and I see her every night. And she also seems to be like me, and she just woke up before I woke up. She seems to be aware of being in there with me too.
Lark, the dream you have, the place you go to, the sky doesn't happen to be purple, does it?
It does.
I've had a theory for a while that folks like you and me, ones with magic or magical abilities about us, I believe we dream of the same place. The place where our magic truly comes from.
Does that mean if you did not suppress your dream, I could see you in my dream?
In theory, yes.
Maybe we should try that sometime and see if your theory is correct.
You know, it might be a good way for me to teach you and your friend. Bree, is it?
Yeah.
I could perhaps teach you both, if my theory is correct.
And if we happen to catch her. It's
Yes,
not very
of course.
predictable to know when she's sleeping. She seems to be in a different time than at least a little bit. Because she was waking up much earlier than me.
My friend, she used to arrive after me, and I used to leave before her. It's been a very long time since I saw her. Perhaps you've seen her. Dark gray hair?
No, I've only ever seen Bree.
Oh, well, worth a shot. Perhaps tomorrow I will.
Perhaps. I don't intend to going to sleep anymore today.
You're right. I have someone
Thank
to
you
meet
for
in
listening
Sleepy
to The
Street,
Sprouting,
so we should
our
be
new
moving on.
plant-based passion project.
Pack up your things and let's
As
get
someone
going.
who came from the D&D system, I'm really, really enjoying the Call of Cthulhu system. We're making our own little changes and such, but overall, as someone who didn't know what to expect, I'm really enjoying it. So big shout out to Chaosium for the Call of Cthulhu system. If you know of anyone who might be interested in a horror-themed plant-based apocalypse actual play, then perhaps shout us out to that person, because word of mouth is perhaps one of the biggest ways that we get our shows around. Big thanks to patrons Cesarus for the names Krakatoa and Raistlin, and big thanks to patron Shadow Plays for the name Lancaster, as well as Thirsty for the name Brielle, and Ikare and Rivelix. I'm trying. And big thanks to Twiglets are great for the name Torg, Driftwood, Bax, Rain, Mallow Canyon, Ember, Tempest, Icewind, Fane, Silverleaf, Thackeray, Fane, and Wolf of the Borderlines for Ikari, Pote, and Batrogi. I'm trying. This was the most names I've ever had to read, and I'm always so embarrassed to just be trying to pronounce things, because I've heard them and I could fish through the episode for an hour and sit here and try to figure out how to pronounce it. But come on, I'm trying. Please forgive me. Thanks again for listening to our show. We really appreciate you. There's a lot of good horror and a lot of good mystery coming up, so stay tuned, and we will see you all next episode. Bye.